Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Muzzle Is Off Podcast. I am your host, Nakia Monet, and we have a very special guest with us today. This guest literally stumbled upon myself in the podcast. Unbeknownst to me, I happened to wake up one morning and find a message in the podcast inbox on Facebook saying, "Listen, I have this book. I would like to join your podcast and be able to talk about it." And immediately, I was humbled by even the request, right? There sometimes you can literally tell a person's spirit just by what they write. And I was immediately humbled by what he wrote because he was very humble in his writing. And when we first conversed, I was like, okay, no problem. What's the name of the book? What's it about? And we just began to have a conversation. And I want to bring y'all into the conversation that we had initially and then bring y'all further into the conversation by taking you into the book. So, Keith, why don't you introduce yourself to the people?
Well, peace and love, everyone out there. My name is Keith Nweze. I'm an author, publisher, poet of multiple books. Today, we're going to talk about my sixth book, and it's titled Struggle. First and foremost, thank you for having me on. Thank you for being a queen and everything you do and represent. I'm honored to be on your platform tonight.
You are, listen, like I said, I was very humble at the request. There are oftentimes that, anybody that really is a podcast host, you get multiple requests from people saying, I want to join your podcast. And you're like, I don't know you, right? I don't even know what you're about. But your request came with information so that a person could be able to understand what you're about, who you are, and what is it that you want to relate to the people. And then on top of that, you made sure I had a copy of your book so that when we actually did come through to have this discussion, I would be able to have an informative discussion as opposed to one just like, so tell me about your book. No, I know about the book. So therefore, let's get into the struggle. And I want you to tell the people about yourself before we actually get into the struggle. Who are you? Mm-hmm. What makes you up? What makes Keith Keith?
Gotcha. Well, listen, number one, I'm an African man. I'm born to a beautiful woman, Cecile Elliott, and to Ike Nweze. So, my name, Keith Nweze, runs in my blood. I have a connection to Nigeria, connection to Africa. I'm a father. I'm also, I've been in the social service field for the last 18 years. So you can say I'm a father to a lot. I've been bouncing for 14 years, and I've also been a self-published author for the last 11. So I'm someone who has opinion. I'm someone who values communication. I'm someone who values interaction. So, this moment that we find ourselves in tonight is very humbling because this is the end result of what I really want, and that's to have dialogue with my people. So once again, thank you for having me.
You are welcome. And thank you for that introduction of you, because I just think that it's important that people understand who we are, right? Because as an author, sometimes people can bypass your written language because they don't understand who you are and they don't understand what you actually have to say. So it's important to me as an author to be able to introduce who am I, who are you, and what do you stand for, what do you represent. So I like the fact that you said, I'm an African man, because that just holds weight, point blank, period. And the fact that, you gave your lineage, where you're from, that holds weight, period. And I think that is just important that people begin to understand that who we are literally goes back to who's in our lineage and where we actually come from. And when we understand that, and when we know that, we have a deeper understanding of ourselves. So let's go into the struggle.
Can I add something? Because you listen, you can't be dropping jewels like that. It's a little too cold and a little too shiny. That's what I do it for. Just for us to have that dialogue, for us to see ourselves as that, because you're just as much as African as I am. Your cousin, your relatives come from the same place as I do, different parts of the region, but the same place. Mm-hmm. And we come from brilliance. We come from excellence. What you're doing in the visual, in the podcast form, is you're documenting dialogue, You're documenting history. You're documenting discussion that will be analyzed for years to come. And what I try to do in my field as being an author is do the same. So, it's reciprocated. A king is can't only smile and shine unless he's around a queen. So this is what tonight is.
Well, come on here and let's shine, because I don't think y'all understand. I literally read this book within one day because I could not put it down. And I read it because it was so fluid. Everything flowed. From the beginning to the end, it flowed. And I was able to understand the intricacies of what you were building towards, right? Because anybody knows that when you structure out a book, you're building towards something. So I got to start you here, and then I'm going to build you to here. So I got to get you to a place so that you begin to understand the lineage that I'm traveling, right? And oftentimes in life, and that's why I liked how you broke out the book. So explain to the people how you broke out the book so that they begin to understand the lineage of the travel that's in the book.
Yeah, no doubt. Essentially I was just trying to capture my last 5 years, which is a very dynamic 5 years. I was trying to capture where I worked, the services that I provided, and the end result of not following your own advice or following the own things that you're trying to prevent other people from. I broke the book down into 4 chapters. The first one is titled Night, and that's where usually my days begin because I work as a bouncer. Still to this day, I'm still in the security field. So I walk into an establishment on a Wednesday and we'll leave it on a Thursday. So I thought it would be necessary to start the book at night and talk about my life and my experiences of dealing with other people's struggles, diffusing conflict, breaking up situations, trying to ultimately make a home safe each night. The next chapter is titled Day, and that's after I go to sleep and wake up 3 to 4 hours later, I'm off to my first job, which is a caseworker for DIFAS in Elizabeth, New Jersey. And that just talks about the experiences of abuse and neglect, of servicing families, of reconnecting kids to mother and to father, and to all of the challenges that I and the clients go through. And the third chapter talks about the home. You work the night job and the day job to hopefully have a home, to hopefully buy a house and create a home. And, in this chapter, I put myself in a position to where I'm not able to hold my end of the bargain. And that position puts me in very traumatic and devastating events. The last chapter is titled Me. After you go from night job, day job, and your home, only thing you have left is what you think and what you feel. And that's just trying to overcome challenges while at the same time dealing with depression, dealing with stress, dealing with the elements of failure. And these are all of the elements that make up struggle. I believe all of us, no matter if it could be one chapter or the other, can identify with certain aspects of the book. And that's what I wanted to capture.
And I believe you captured it well. Because I think what a lot of us don't understand sometimes is that, so this is how I broke down the book in my mind after reading through it. We all got a night season. Everybody. Mm-hmm. Everybody has a season of night. We all have that season and that time when we're just awake and we're just traveling and it's a little dark. It's a little iffy. It's a little shaky. The things in which we are experiencing are heavy, right? So when you read the chapter called Night, what you're experiencing is the heaviness of the night. Because it's your night season. That's where you at. Yeah,
you need to write.
I read. Let me tell you something. I read, okay? And this goes out to all y'all teachers that thought I had an issue with reading comprehension. No, I do not. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. Growing up, they had me in all them little special classes for reading. It's just that I didn't like what they had me reading. Okay. I needed to read something I could relate to.
Well, let me add something to you. Guess what, though? They had me in that as well.
Okay.
So what I hear is a writer.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that's humbling before we get back on track, because I keep knocking you off,
You're right.
is your comprehension and what you're grabbing and how it's layered is nuanced. Even what you described the undertone of the chapter with only reading it a week. I just gave you the book a week and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
So, what we're all seeing live is genius, and they classify us that. Our job is to bring awareness, mine's in literary form and yours in this platform here. And it struck a nerve when you said that, because I spent third and fourth grade getting myself out of that very position, and look at us now.
Right. Authors.
Absolutely.
Okay. But that night, and let me say, because you know what, I told you before when we spoke about this, a lot of people do not, because I do not always, I am not one to share everything about myself, but what I will say is this. When you read the chapter about Knight, and he's talking about his life as a bouncer, right? When you really go back in time and you begin to think about, I am 39 years old, almost 40 now, but there has always been times, there was that season of my life where I lived in the night, right? And I would go from club to club to club. I knew every club, where to go to, all the good spots to hit. This is at Thursday night, we was here. Friday night, we was here. Saturday night, we was there. Even on Sunday nights, we was over here. Monday was a real chill night because wasn't nobody really trying to go out like that on a Monday. But then here come Tuesday, we could hit up here. You literally encountered so many different bouncers at the different places, to the point where if you were a regular, they knew you. They knew you. And you began to experience that because you were a bouncer at one place. And you began to understand the regulars. You begin to understand even the workers. You begin to understand just the climate. And that's why I don't want us to give away the entire book, because I want people to actually go out and purchase the book. I want them to buy The Struggle, because I need them to understand that this book is relatable to life, because everybody has a night season. I had a season where I lived at night and then I worked during the day, like you said, getting 3-4 hours of sleep, right? So I had the night Nakia and then I had the day Nakia, and we all have had that experience. This is me at night. How do I transition from night to day? And you began to experience the transition of people from night to day. Mm-hmm. And not just within your own self, but the people that you were around, and you assess them wonderfully. Let's talk about that night. Talk about the night experience.
Yeah, well, listen, the major element to the job is observation. People understand that bouncers, a good bouncer, good security guards, major skill and major asset is the ability to observe, the ability to read body language, to see people in their positions, whether intoxicated or sober. So by the time I entered Jersey Girls, I was already 3-4 years in security. But Jersey Girls was college because of activity, everything that was going around. Beautiful women in compromising position and compromising clothing, men, whether it be celebrities to 5-star hustlers to regulars, all flaunting for the same thing. And the element had like such a high speed degree to it, to where it would go from 0 to 60. And like you said, you had to really understand who you were dealing with and how you were dealing with them. You had to understand regulars, you had to understand killers, you had to understand businessmen, you had to understand pimps. You had to really understand the environment to make your home safe every night. And for me, this is occupation. So I'm not there for a social reason. I'm not there, to feed a need. I'm there because this is under the table money that I can make within 5 hours. And in this element, there's money outside of the money they're paying. So it's really like a draw. It's an addiction for me, because this really spearheaded what we're speaking on, my publishing company. I use my day job to pay my bills and this to fund my dreams and aspirations. But back to understanding that if you're going to be in it, you have to study it. And, you know, I had older experienced bouncers. I had dancers. I had managers that gave me game. And, you know, I was smart enough to listen most of the time, dumb enough not to listen other times, and either reap the success or the failures, depending on how I applied advice. The nightlife expanded me. You know, I could walk into any situation and any person. This is something cops need to understand. Because I didn't have a gun, bulletproof vest, or the law behind me, I had to deal with people on their level. I had to understand if I put my hands on that person, that I had to deal with the repercussions of it. Okay, and that actually gave me power because I still had to enforce a rule. So I still had to go in that group of 10 to 20 people and say, put that blunt out, or don't touch her that way. I had to look them in the eyes, understanding all I had was this. But they understood all I had was this. And that's what I feel is the problem with a lot of these soft cops, you know, because they resort to this when they can really just do this or maybe this.
Right.
But, you know, I'm going elsewhere. The nightlife was very educational to just me as a man and definitely me as an author. And I wanted to show the human part of it.
No, but you wasn't going in the wrong direction. It's the right direction, because as one that is a bouncer, there are situations where you've had to diffuse tough situations. I mean, you discuss one in the book, and like I told you, I'm like, that could have went either way, depending upon how much pride and how much ego would have went into play. That could have went either way, right?
Can we stay there in the pride and ego?
Mm-hmm.
So people are dead in jail off those two words. You know, even me. You know, a lot of my struggles are pride infused, ego induced type struggles. And thank God I had a deep enough relationship with the brother I was with to recognize his mannerisms, to understand the seriousness of the predicament I was about to enter myself in. Talk about living the moment. If I let pride dictate my actions, we wouldn't have this conversation.
Right. Right. And that's key, because the decision you made in that moment honestly shaped where you are today, because it could have went either way, like I said, and the other way would have been, we wouldn't even be having this moment right now. You know, and I think that is important. That's why I wrote it down in the comments: pride infused, ego induced struggles, because sometimes we have to be able to recognize what is pride induced and what is ego, what is pride infused and what is ego induced, right? Because if I infuse my pride into a situation, that means I'm embedding it into there. And then when I induce my ego, then that my ego is surrounding it. So it's kind of like I have now allowed my ego to become the outer function of my pride, which is now on the inner function. And now I'm in a situation that I might not have needed to be in, because I'm not allowing reason, common sense, you know what I'm saying, to at least guide me and lead me in that way. And it's dangerous.
Oh, listen, your game is so strong tonight. I pray you're recording this and you have this somewhere that it can be listened to again, because you definitely have a very clear picture, you know, a cause and effect picture of how things can go if you let pride and ego dictate actions, dictate decision making. So,
and it's
you know,
let me tell y'all one thing, like, I am very careful with what I actually share, but what I will say is that a lot of what I read in here discuss portions of my life, right? And I want to be very clear. I'm not ashamed of anything that I've ever gone through, but what I do know is that everything is not for every audience, right? And I'm very careful what I actually share, because sometimes people love to twist your words, and I can't stand that. But let me say this: as a person that attempted, because it was one day of a poor attempt, to live in the nightlife, I tried one. It was one night. That was it. That's all I made it. I made it past one night of attempting to be a stripper. It was just one night. I couldn't get past it. I was like, this would be a little too much alcohol. I would need a little too many pills to get through trying to act like I could do this. It was just too much. I couldn't handle it. That one old man wanted to lap dance and I was over it, right?
Old man Raheem.
Listen, I was over it. I was like, you know what, sir? This is so disgusting. I can't even understand why you even want to lap dance at your age. And it was a private party. And needless to say, I made it one night. And then I was like, this is not the life. This is not going to work for Nakia. No, we're not going to do this. I'm going to figure out another way, right? And so any of my family, y'all listening, if y'all call my mother, I'm going to know y'all did it. Anyway, but what I will say is that I learned a very valuable lesson about myself in that one night, because you know your limits. You know what I'm saying? And at that point, I really thought that, you know what, sky's the limit. I could do whatever, and I'm going to make it. But in that experience and what I experienced in that one night was a lot. And it was a lot for me to handle mentally. It was a lot for me to handle emotionally. It was a lot for me to even handle spiritually and physically, right? Because there are certain things that you are asked to do that one would think that you would be required to do that you're like, I'm not willing to do, right? And when you live that life in the night, there are certain things that literally can come into question for you. That you might be like, you know what, no. Or you might say yes, right? Because it depends on how good that money was looking and what your need was. Everybody has a need. There's a want, there's a need. Everybody has it. Right. And for you being a bouncer, and you literally had to assess all these situations that you were witnessing all that night. Being a bouncer at Jersey Girls. Then even taking your bouncing abilities elsewhere outside of Jersey Girls, going into the good Hoboken area, right? That was a whole different experience. That was just, you know what I'm saying? Well, now I'm dealing with the night experience over here, and this night experience is different. But when I go over here, I'm dealing with a whole different ball game. It's a whole different psyche. And as a bouncer, it's like psychologically, you got to be on point for every situation that you're in psychologically. I don't think any of us have ever thought that a bouncer needed to be so in tune psychologically with his environment. You just think, oh, you know, they out here, they just bouncing, they just manning the door. No, we manning everything that's going on up in this piece. And then when it's closing time, we manning all of this too. All of y'all in your little drunk selves and y'all going back to y'all little cars and stuff. We manning this. And then you begin to understand the psyche of the people that you're working around and working with. Let's talk about that, because that's a lot to deal with at night.
Yeah, it is. I mean, your value is your ability to be a chameleon. And the ability to be able to change and adapt with any environment or situation. Your money will come in being able to go from class to class. If you can be able to walk into a dead-end street in Elizabeth, or walk into a waterfront bar on Frank Sinatra Drive, you know, it's how are you able to communicate? How are you able to deliver language? And that language really in our business is really nonverbal. It's really your presence. What energy, what aura do you give off when you walk in the door or when you approach someone? You know, what is the first thing you say? How do you say it? How do you say it at 9 o'clock will dictate how you deal with someone who's drunk at 12:30. And, you know, these are things that I had to learn. You know, Jersey Girls offer such a diverse group. You know, you just have people from all walks of life there because of the women. And to backtrack it, you know, you were saying some profound things. You know, there were women who walked in the doors and had to create another image and another character just to keep their integrity and dignity intact. They had to become someone else just to bear fruit to everything that will come. And over time, they lose who they are.
Mm-hmm.
They lose their nature. And these are the discussions that, or these are the observations, back to what I said initially. This job is all about observation. These are the observations. If you work at a consistent place over time, you see the transformation. You see the survival instinct kick in. You see them, afraid to be touched while giving a lap dance. And then 3 months later, you see them, legs wide open, inviting everything to get that Birkin bag.
Right.
Or to get that, that fat transfer. Whatever that desire calls. And, I see that in them, but also when I try to reflect, I see that in us. Dealing with conflict, the paranoia, the resentment. A lot of us who were bouncers were other things.
Mm-hmm.
Viewed as bouncers. You have me, I'm someone that's working for a state organization and self-publishing books and viewed as a bouncer. Viewed as somebody that,
like you think this is all I do.
This is all I do. I mean, and treated as such.
Mm-hmm.
Treated like I'm not 6'3", with a nice smile and the ability to articulate words. And that does something to you.
In your own psyche.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
You start battling your self-worth, or where you belong, or where you should be, and how you should conduct yourself, because you want to fit into where you're at for 6 hours a night.
For 6 hours.
6 hours.
So then it's kind of like you begin to compromise.
Yeah. Everyone does.
Mm-hmm.
From dancer to bartender to customer to bouncer, it all depends on what their issues were before they walked in the doors. So if your issues was that severe, then your compromise will have a neon light to it. If your issues are subtle, then your compromise won't be seen until time passes. Because it will be things that the naked eye can't see, but time will definitely tell.
And let me tell y'all this one thing, and that's why I'm not being careful, but I'm being very strategic with the type of questions that I'm asking concerning the book, because I truly do want everyone to really purchase this book, because it truly does detail the struggle. Mm-hmm. You cannot, I don't care who you are, even if you're a millionaire type person, you've experienced a certain level of struggle to get to where you at. Even if you were born into it, there's a certain lineage of struggle that takes place, right? Everybody has whatever their struggle is. We all have it, right? Whether it's a struggle to figure out your self-worth, whether it's a struggle to figure out your own identity, whether it's all of this is a struggle. And one of the things that I like about this book is that you can relate to the overarching message of the struggle. It is a struggle. And a lot of what is actually discussed in this book is a struggle of identity. And what we fail to realize as just straight up human beings is that a lot of us have an identity crisis because we don't fully know who we are. And when we don't know who we are and we don't know what we're here for, we don't know what our purpose is in life, we don't know where we're going as far as our destiny, we begin to go through various different layers of struggle while we're trying to figure that part out. So when you go through your night season, when you go and a lot of times, truth be told, people swear that your day season is the best season, because that's the light. The light is shining, it's the daytime, the light is everything is just bright. No. Because there's a struggle in the day too.
Absolutely.
Because the struggle in the day begins to deal with your conscious and your conscious mind. Two different things I just said. I said your conscious and your conscious mind. There's two different things. I'm not talking about the same thing at the same time. It's two different things. And when you hit your day period, and now you're dealing with the awakening of self, who am I? What am I here for? Why am I here? And then you have to deal with your mind. What am I seeing? What am I experiencing? What am I feeling? Because when you're awake, this is when your senses are at its best, right? Mm-hmm. So this is where we're dealing with everything. What am I tasting? You know what I'm saying? What am I touching? all of this stuff. So when you get into your day, that's where you at.
Absolutely.
Explain your day, because the day period affected home,
Mm-hmm.
affected
Mm-hmm.
you,
Yeah,
and then it affected the night.
absolutely. Everything. Can't hide from it. Lights on, high beams. High beams is glaring at your truth. And, you got to see it, It's ironic because my position in that chapter for the first part of it is to help people through their struggles. Is to navigate through people through their darkness. Being, an advocate for the state, a worker for DIFAS, currently DCPNP. My job was to mend broken families. To restore love in broken hearts. And what you said is the awareness and the lack that I had for myself put me in a compromising position by the end of that chapter. And my mistakes were so bright and glaring that I had no choice but to look at them and see them and live with them. And this chapter is a bridge, but at the same time, it shows the service that I wanted to give to my people, to the community. It's no different from being a bouncer than being a case manager. You're trying to help someone in a time of need. If you're a bouncer, you're trying to break up conflict and you're trying to break up issues and diffuse. Well, this here, you're trying to use services to restore generational hurt and neglect and real life cultural pain. And, I navigated it the way I needed to navigate it to show the audience that I'm human. What I learned from one of the best shows ever created, The Wire, is that you want to show your stories, you want to deliver your messages through stories, deliver your themes through people. And, each chapter has a theme to it. And, your prelude to your question definitely alludes to, night is usually our demons, the things that we're trying to hide, and day exposes all of it. And depending on what it is you're trying to hide can determine what is going to be exposed during the day. And as you see, and what I tried to allude to, I was hiding something. So by the time you get to the last part of day, you see it, and my whole life changes.
Mm-hmm. And that's all right, because when we get into the breakdown of the home experience, and the home experience, truth be told, kind of explains the day experience, right? And then it helps you to understand why there had to be a night. And at the same time, the home experience truly breaks down who we are. When I'm at home, this is me. When I'm out there, that's that me. When I'm at night, that's that me. But home, this is the real deal. This is me. This is how I am. This is how I grew up. This is what makes me me. This is how I became, right? And I think that oftentimes when we're raised not fully knowing who we are, without having full awareness of who we are, we miss a certain part of us, right? And then when it all begins to come together, that's when we begin to shift, right? And I'll say it like this. I didn't meet my biological father officially until I was like 26 years old. And then I met his entire family, right? And I think that it was at that part in my life when I met them and things just started to make sense. Why do I shop the way I shop? Nobody in my family is a shopper. These people are not like me. They don't shop like me. They don't have the zeal that I have for shopping. They don't even have the love for it. Where did I come from? And it wasn't until I met my biological father's family that I began to realize that this is innate. My aunt and my grandmother, my great aunts, this is what they do. No wonder I had this love, right? Then even just like maybe a couple weeks ago, I was talking to my aunt, and I would, I'm a type of person, I just rattle up like, oh, you know what, I want to do this, I want to do that, and blah, 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 and this is what I'm working on, this is what I'm doing. And she just stopped for a second, and she was like, you know what, you remind me so much of your father. Like, it is ridiculous, right? Because that's how he was. This is how he would talk, right? So it's in those little subtle things about you that you then begin to piece together. This is home. This is who I am. You know what I'm saying? And so when I read Home, that's how it resonated with me. Home, I began, once I found out who I am, why I do the things I do, how I react to certain things, why I say it, because I am a very boisterous person. Not Nick. My mom and dad, they're not like that. My biological father, I get it from him. And I had no idea. I had a love for photography from like a young age. Like, I love photography. I had no idea where that came from. My mother was not into the arts like that. Come to find out, as an adult, he loved photography. That was his thing, So Home, that's how Home resonated for me. And I wanted to express that because I just think that's why I keep saying everything in this book, from the struggle, it can truly resonate within yourself if you truly understand the message of it.
Yeah.
Everybody got to find their home,
Yeah.
no matter how it look, right? Because well, my home life, it wasn't perfect. Neither was mine, but it made me who I am. Praise God.
The goal with the chapter was to break down the home and all elements. The first part of the chapter talks about the financial part that usually breaks down the home. Then we talk about the cultural aspect, and then we talk about the emotional part. All of these three elements, they usually are forms of destruction for the home. And like you're alluding to, if your home base mentally, culturally, and self-awareness isn't established, it's very hard to develop a home with someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're constantly shifting, you're constantly conflicting, because you're searching for something while someone is trying to embed something. And that can be conflicting. For us as African Americans who are here in America, none of us really have a real sense of home. And it systematically has been put in that way. I mean, we identify as Jerseyans, as Williams, as Southerners, and all this other stuff, but none of that is home. None of that is directly connected to our blood and to our, what you said, our innate talent, the ability to do things that we question. You touched on things. My personality is dynamic. So when you're around my biological family, you see instantly that he was influenced by them, but the way he talks and the way he views things is extremely different than them. And this was very conflicting. This is this very topic that we talk on is actually the backbone to a book that I'm going to write.
Good.
Yeah, we're gonna dive into deep. We're gonna dive in before, I found self-awareness when I was a young boy in the wilderness, trying to figure out why I was this way.
Mm-hmm.
To be a Gemini Nigerian man.
Like how did this come about?
I mean, this connection to be this, to have that Nigerian ambition that will make you strive to put out 6 books in 9 years, and to be so up and down, to be a Gemini and not have anyone to explain it to you, not have anyone in your proximity that you can relate to, can be difficult. It was my own personal struggle. So when I got to the chapter of Stepfather, I wanted to show what made me, what was missing, but what made me and what motivated me to be a father and a stepfather to others. And when I get to the last chapter, which is relationship, that talks about the actual inability to communicate effectively, not only with someone else, but with yourself. And the position.
Now that's good.
Yeah.
Because how we speak to ourselves is very important.
It's everything.
That right there sets the tone for your life, how you speak to yourself, how you view yourself, how you envision yourself. And and that's the problem. Sometimes I think people are missing out on conversations with self, with how they speak to themselves, right? Because we've been taught for so long that if you talk to yourself and you answer me, you're crazy. No, I'm not crazy.
Let me add to that wisdom, though. It's conditioning. And you're right on, and I want to say add to the wisdom. It's taught, it's commercialism, is what we view, what we take in, and then what's not taught or was not shown. So it's like two things working at once. You're taking in this culture and this media that is deliberately keeping you away from self. Deliberately. And then you're never seeing the real example of who self is. And when you are, you're seeing primitive, you're seeing all of these other versions that do not reflect the kings and queens that they were enamored by. With kings and queens, and literally, I'm not exaggerating. It sounds like such because we're rooted in, but like literally, like ask your favorite white professor. Go on, have enough courage to go to Harvard, Yale, Fairleigh Dickinson, Princeton, St. John's, wherever. Ask your favorite white professor, and he will flick his glasses like this. He'll breathe for 1 second, and he will unwittingly tell you the truth. That my studies have told me that you are literally kings and queens. Sorry about that.
First of all, you don't have to be sorry.
It has to be said, because what you're doing is you're really deep diving into my book, and you're really pulling it into a bigger frame, a bigger scope. It's not my book, it's not my struggle, it's a we thing. And each chapter, you're really diving into the subject, and you're taking it out of a singular type of thing, and you're making it plural, you're making it into we. And I just wanted to add a we element to it.
No, but that we element is right, because when you strip people of their identity, you strip them of their heritage, you strip them of their own self-awareness, then you make them inferior. That's just what it is. So I have to condition you to feel inferior, because if you ever feel empowered, you yourself will rise up. And I believe that has been one of our biggest struggles. And you tell me if I'm wrong, but when I read The Struggle, that's what I was reading. So when I'm in night, I'm being stripped. When I'm in day, I'm being stripped. When I'm at home, I'm being stripped. Now I got to get down to me and find some type of fulfillment. How do I find this fulfillment when I have been broken all the way down? At each stage, I'm down, right? And now that I have allowed the night has stripped me, the day has stripped me, home has stripped me. So now I got to deal with me in my nakedness. I am now stripped. I am now naked. I now have to rebuild myself, right? And I have to re-enclose myself. I have to reshape myself. And now I have to go and position myself. But you want to keep reminding me of my nakedness. Now I'm a stripper, right? Now I'm a stripper, and I'm dealing with everything that I saw, right? I'm dealing with this stuff. And at every turn I get, because of decisions, right, wrong, or indifferent, because at the end of the day, we are beings here on this good earth, and we have a mind. Right, wrong, or indifferent, we make decisions. And we live with all the decisions in which we make. There are some decisions that we make that could have been better, but why I got to spend years trying to repair from one decision? Years. I made one bad decision, right, in 2016 with a relationship, and I'm still paying for it today, and it is 2020. It takes us years to repair from a bad decision. when, if, quite possibly, if there were other opportunities available to us that are just not, it might not take me as long to repair from the decision that I made that affected me 4 years ago.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you this. In a capitalistic society, it's too cheap to fix the problem quickly.
That's it.
You don't really get all your money's worth by good medicine.
Nope.
They want to give you enough to where you see a little results. But not what we're speaking on. We're speaking on the criminal system. We're speaking on reform. We're speaking on what America, what capitalism feels rehabilitation looks like. For them, there's no such thing. For them, the value is you repeating. And by you being reminded and you being labeled and branded. See, because the North was fighting with the South, they seen the value in taking away slavery.
Yeah,
they want us to stop being slaves. Is this they can make more money
in an industrialized society?
You see, around brilliance. So what they, instead of labeling us slaves, they label us criminals, delinquents, and other things. And these are the labels. This is now systematic racism.
Mm-hmm.
The last cent of the American pie died in the 60s. And from there, it's been systematic. So now, to what you're painting, when you endure the night and you endure your mistakes, you endure the ills and the vices of life, and you endure the day, the exposing of such mistakes and the horrors of the reflection of who you are and what you become. And then you try to go home and try to find solitude and try to find some type of remorse or some type of some support. And it's not there. Only thing you're left is what's in your head. And our heads have been conditioned to need vices, to need weed, to need alcohol, to need strip clubs, to need shopping, to need eating, to need things just to get through the next day. And I wanted to show it in my story, but I also wanted to leave room for interpretation. I wanted to show angles of struggle. I didn't want it to exaggerate. We constantly keep telling the drug dealer story. We constantly tell the little kid with a broken home that can shoot from distance. But those are rare exceptions. There's not a lot of Rich Porters and there's not a lot of Steph Currys. There are more me and you.
Yep.
And that's the sad. There's more fatherless children who didn't grow up with that part of their culture, who had to find out their innate ability through trial and error without really going back to a real lineage. There's more stories like that. See, America keeps showing Paid in Full over and over fucking again. They love Boys in the Hood, and these are great movies, but there's more stories like struggle. So when I wanted to document it, I wanted it to just write it on a very human level. There's no big car chase. I don't get $1 million at the end, and there's nothing exaggerated. Even the end, it ain't this. I purposely ain't want. Oh yeah, I got it all figured out. Guess what? Nah, the struggle is ongoing. I ain't getting nothing expunged and nothing that is ongoing because we have to learn how to cope and deal with it. And I just felt like if I wrote it in a human fashion and I wrote it honest, that I can be able to talk to people like you and people who think like you.
Nah, and you definitely did. But what I will say is that the struggle is ongoing, right? But there's a certain aspect of the struggle, in my personal opinion, that I feel that you finally understood.
Mm-hmm.
And that was me and Ty.
Come here. You gotta stand on this side too. Oh, well, sit. Hold on, give us a second. Give us a
Listen,
second.
whichever way she come.
The prelude to that is
Give us the prelude. Go ahead.
nothing is more valuable than a strong woman. Especially when you're at your lowest, and you're trying to rise up to be your height. You need someone that not only reinforces positivity but lives it. That really has her own thing. And hold on, get on over there so they can see you.
Wait, I can't.
You gotta slide over this way. You acting like you're afraid. There you go.
Okay. Hi.
Hi, Ty.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I can't
Let me tell y'all why I did this, right? I am a sucker for all types of romance, right? I love a good, happy ending, right?
Mm-hmm.
And through reading the struggle and understanding through the struggle, we have relationship struggles, right? We have communication gaps, right? We have, I really thought I had this type of communication down pat, right? I really thought I had this going. And no, I might not have had this going, right? And then here comes Ty. Ty says, you know what? Pause. I am going to give you some time. I'm going to hear you. I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to hear your heart. And then boom, I'm going to be right there pushing you. Let me tell y'all something. I'm going to say this part of the book because I ain't really said no part of the book, but I'm going to say this part of the book. Ty was outside with him selling them first 6 books. You hear me? She was right there at the table, okay, with him as he was grinding. That's support. And there's nothing wrong with support. Sound Wisdom said, "Hey, Queen." And Sound been, let me tell you something. I love Sound. Me and Sound, I love Sound. Sound been watching this whole thing, and Sound been commenting the whole. I couldn't really get all her comments in, but I've been trying to put them up there. But Sound said, "Hey, Queen." But what I will say is this: I had to get you on here to show your face, because I believe that when I read the final chapter. And I read the introduction of you. I said she needs to be introduced to the people so that the people understand exactly who she is. And they got to put a face to this wonderfulness that took place.
Thank you.
And she beautiful too. look at this face on this woman. So you get all that packaged up in beauty.
Listen.
Let me say this real quick before y'all go into it. She is extremely dynamic, extremely valuable and important to who I am and what I do. And she was patient with me, my Black queens, my women who are tuning in. She seen something underneath the soil and was willing to dust that off. So it's like now we celebrating, we recognizing, but there was that moment where we couldn't do the Instagram stuff or the shopping sprees, and it was just me and it was just her. And, that's the backbone and the embodiment of love. So know that. And I'm gonna shut up.
You better look, all these words and stuff. I'll possess that, y'all. I'm gonna be honest with you. That's his thing.
She said, I want him to say all that embodiment and all of that stuff. I'm gonna say, listen, just the fullness of where we are at. This is what it is. I get it, because I listen. Okay, I get it. But I had to have you come on because I wanted to understand, and I wanted you to bring us into you, right? Because we're introduced to you in the beginning, but I know in the next book we're going to be really introduced to you, the other chapter. Okay, this is it chapter, right? But because I think that something that you just said is important. You said she was patient. How did that patience look to you as you were going through it? Because patience don't look the same for all of us. Because somebody's like, because he better this.
No. I definitely had our moments, had my moments, and we definitely disagreed and we butted heads, and like you said, dealing with Gemini. Never dealt with a Gemini before, and I'm an Aries, so I'm stubborn, and I don't want to hear what you got to say either. So if you ain't listening to me, I ain't listening to you. But just like you said, levels of communication, because everybody always says communication is key, but I believe effort is key. Because after you communicate, what you gonna do with what I told you or what you told me? So
Right.
as far as the patience, it was definitely tough, and like you say, relationships are something that you commit to every day. You have to wake up every day and say, I'm going to try at this. And some days are harder than others, which, he showed in the book, definitely illustrated in the book.
Mm-hmm.
So the patient part, like I told you, it was moments where I had to, dig deep in myself, because I'm born and raised in North New Jersey. But when I met him, I had just moved back home from living in Las Vegas for 5 years. So you go from being single, living the vida loca, you partying, you being a chef, you at the beginning of your career, at the height of your career, to moving back home, and now you're dealing with a man who has, who's not a weekend dad, who is a dad 24/7, 365. So that was different for me, because I had to learn that, and I had to deal with his struggles that he had, and fully understand it. But sometimes you can't necessarily understand those things because you're not per se going through it.
Right.
You're standing from a different end. So that the patient part was something that I had to learn. Definitely.
And I hope y'all caught she's a chef. So for everybody in New Jersey, she's a chef. Just saying.
Might as well say.
Look, personal meal plans, private dinners, she's a chef.
Yes.
Because that was, because I'm observant. Well, some people, my cousin tells me I'm nosy, but I like to say observant. So I was watching one of the other lives when he was, talking, and I was like, and I said to him, I was like, what is this? And that probably wouldn't have been something that the average person would have caught, because they probably just wouldn't have paid attention to it, right? I think it was like a name or something like that on the back of the laptop or something like that. And I was like, oh, what's that? He was like, oh, I'm like, oh, she a chef? Do she advertise here? So and so, because I am observant. I'm not nosy. I am observant.
No, I get it.
That's a good thing. That's a good
yes.
thing.
He swear I'm nosy, because he just said it the other day. And I was like, I'm not nosy, I'm observant. I'm just in your business because I need to understand what's going on. But anyway, back to you, Miss Ty. No, because a lot of people do not understand why we support the way that we do, right? Mm-hmm. As women, sometimes people can become very frustrated in their ability to support and there's a difference. There's a difference when you're supporting, and there's a difference when you're just enabling bad freaking behavior, right? When you're enabling laziness, right? Mm-hmm. And for you were able to tell the big difference between the two, right? You understood that he wasn't a lazy man. You understood that there were some decisions that were made. He was within a struggle. So you understood that I could see you through this struggle. I won't put words in your mouth, but is that what you understood? Because let me just ask the question instead of saying what I felt that I read.
No, definitely. And to be honest with you, I grew up with great examples of Black women and Black men. I can honestly say that I was raised by great men, from my father to my grandfather to uncles. And I was raised by great Black women, and they were always ladies. So I grew up with a good family structure. So I saw what support was 24/7, so supporting someone that was kind of something that I was taught that you do, because my family, we constantly support each other. It's different things. I know as a kid, it's certain. I grew up with kids. A child stays in a child's place. Mm-hmm. So you don't know all the business. You don't know all the ups and downs, but you see certain things, and you see I saw the right things. So as far as that support, that wasn't something that was hard to give, because that's just who I am naturally.
I like that. Would you say possibly, right? Just possibly, not in this experience, just for women in general, how do you know when you're providing the right amount of support for the right person? Because there are oftentimes, and both of y'all can actually answer this too, from the male perspective and from the woman's perspective, because sometimes as women, we can provide the right amount of support, but to the wrong person. or we can provide an insufficient amount of support for the right person.
Right.
We need to know based on, and this is going to be really generalized, but not necessarily as generalized as I think it might be. But I think that we could help people from a male perspective and a female perspective and a woman's perspective. How do we shape that, right? And that's why I'm telling these people they need to read The Good Struggle, because you're going to see the variation of the support. I'm gonna leave it at that, but go ahead. Whichever one of y'all want to tackle that first.
Go first.
No, listen, support is everything. I wanted to start off the book from a standpoint of me giving support to others, and in the book of me needing the support of others to get through my own thing, and showing the consistency of how positive reinforcement can really get you through your darkest times. And you just learn over years. You become appreciative of anyone. Being in what I do, being an entrepreneur, selling product, you value anyone who's willing to open their wallet and support you. This is very humbling. You value, what I don't get a lot, but the moment I do get is people who value my words and messages. And this interview, the backbone of it has been that, and that's a high level of intellectual support that money cannot buy. And having that in a relationship standpoint, someone who can step up and help you through your challenges and has a willingness to do that and to see you at your best, that's extremely valuable. That's precious. Those are those rare jewels that you find oceanside somewhere. And when you do, you gotta cherish it. And that's what leads us to this moment today. And I hope it transfers to all of my lovers out there in the world.
Couple of lovers out there in the world. Okay. Come on, time.
You said, when are you giving the right person the right amount of support and then the wrong person too much support? I think when you're giving the wrong person too much support is when you're taking from yourself.
That's dope. I agree.
I was watching, what was I watching? I know it's probably a good example because of what the recent scandal, but it was something with Will and Jada.
Oh,
and he was saying you can't, when you're in the airplane, what they tell you is to put your mask on first and help the person next to you. I'm a firm believer in that it's nothing wrong with supporting someone, but when it's affecting you, that's when they're the wrong person. And that's what you have to watch. And there's a lot of people who are just naturally givers, and then they just keep giving and keep giving. And it's very easy to take advantage of those people because that's who they are. But when you're giving the wrong person support is when it's taken from yourself. Because you got to be your best self to give anything to anybody.
That's right.
As far as giving the right person support, when you say when you're giving them little support or when you feel like they should give them more?
No, like when you're actually giving the right, because sometimes we don't know, we can't tell the difference. So we be like, I ain't helping nobody. No, sis, you need to help. It's okay.
Right.
When it's the right person.
All right.
Right. I think that also goes with self. I mean, knowing, how we all have our moments where we get our heart broken, and then all of a sudden it's like you said, I ain't supporting nobody. I ain't doing that. Nothing else for nobody. But you gotta always remember that even when you going through something or you had that heartbreak, that made you a better you. You don't see it in the beginning. So I always feel like, even my mother says this, sometimes the person you bless may not be the person that bless you. So you got to learn to just be okay with that and continue to be your best self.
She be talking that shit ain't not again. Because like for real, like what he was saying in a nutshell, all my listeners tuning in, don't let the one bad dude or the one bad woman define how you approach the new dude or the new woman. So like the dude who was selfish and took advantage of you and didn't have appreciation, he was that lesson that you need to learn, those signs that you need to pick up on. But that doesn't mean everybody embodies those traits. So you have to be able to recognize, you have to turn your losses into lessons. But then don't bring that baggage into your new situation. You know?
Be able to recognize when you may need to go get some couch time or since we on Zoom, we do some Zoom time.
Hello.
Question your. I'm a firm believer in people's motives to do something. Like, don't work out because you want to look good because of the boy that broke your heart. No, work out and lose weight because you want to look good for you. So because whatever he left you for, whatever he did, that still is what it is. But you will always remain you. So always work on being better for yourself.
I like that. Always work on being better for yourself and begin to. It's a high-end level of self-awareness. To know when something or someone is just literally just draining and taking.
Right.
And you got to know the difference because if you're not feeling replenished, you're not feeling restored, you're not feeling renewed, you just like, because I tell you, because I was being drained like 4 years ago. And I was like as skinny as God knows what. And I look at some of the old pictures like, girl, he was looking like a good bobblehead. And
he wasn't.
Yes, I was.
I can't see that, but I get you.
People was not telling me the truth.
They were lying to you.
Sis, you look good. No, sis was stressed. Sis was stressed. Okay, sis couldn't hold food down. Sis could not eat. Sis was being drained, and y'all when we talk about sis look good, and sis was over here like 130 pounds, looking like a good bobblehead. No, but
woman for you, because sometimes we take on so much, and we so used to doing so much that we don't even realize that it is too much, or the toll that it is taking on you. So,
girl, I thought the Lord had me up praying for God knows what. To this day, I don't know what the hell I was praying for. I was
just talk.
The Lord should have had me praying for food to eat. That's what he should have had me praying for. I should have been eating, okay? I needed a good meal and a wake up, okay?
Hey, just off of what you were saying, I had seen this and that's why I put it in there. But, our beautiful and brilliant Angela Davis summed it up as this. She said a black woman had to develop a larger vision of society than perhaps any other group. They had to understand white men, white women, and black men, and they had to understand themselves. When a black woman wins victories, it's a boost for every virtual segment in society. And when I seen that, especially coming from her, I kind of understood. I mean, you never know because I'm a black male, but being close and, being raised by a strong black woman, being around a strong black woman, conversing with a strong black woman, even my cousin is a very strong black woman. You understand how much you have to deal with. Even not to go, I had called Ty up today and was like, yo, don't go outside because these dumbass Proud Boys, they looking for women to do their bullshit because Trump is losing.
I didn't even know what he was talking about because I was watching CNN and they ain't even talking. They just talking about the numbers. So
I did see something about that.
So it's important, man, and y'all are extremely valuable. If that's not said, I want to say it. It needs to be on record. We have a very dynamic relationship with one another, but it's nothing more important than an African American male to be and understand with the African American female, and for us to do it together because we once again are kings and queens.
That's it. I like that. Ty, do you have any closing remarks for us? Because I like that.
You want me to sound like that? Come on, man. I can't do that.
He should have held that till after you.
You sound good enough. You listen, this woman be having catering gigs 4 or 5 days out the week. She's a teacher. She's dynamic. So her talking comes when she turns on that stove and she talks very loud, very lucrative.
That's when I'm too feisty. I'm going upstairs. I don't even want. Yeah, I get a little feisty there too. But as far as closing remarks, like you said, want to be understood, black men, black women, and then like first and foremost, people understand yourself. Because if you don't understand yourself, how can someone else understand you? Because a lot of times other people need navigation and help with understanding you. And that's a struggle. Because everybody's raised different. Everybody communicates different, and some people can relate to growing up without a parent. Some people can't relate to that. Some people had 2 family homes, or like me, I was born in a blended family, but like I told you, my mother was always a lady. My stepmother always a lady. So I never saw that dysfunction. So I feel like true understanding is understanding of self, like you said. So you can, when you get into relationships or you meet different people, you can help them navigate you. But you can't if you don't fully understand who you are.
That's it. And let me say this. I love strong Black couples. Y'all are a strong Black couple. And y'all do not allow what goes on the outside to affect what's happening on the inside, right? When we build our homes, I don't care what happened outside. We don't bring that on the inside, because our home is supposed to be our sanctuary. Our home is supposed to be our resting place. Our home is supposed to be the place that we feel replenished and restored and renewed and refreshed. So when we find the person that can actually help us to build a home, we hold on to that. So the chapter called Me, to me, is another version of home, but it's the home that is good for me, right? It's the home, the ending part though, right? Because I had to go through some things in order to travel and find home, right? And oftentimes, I always get so many people, I don't want no relationship. That's fine, that's for you. That'll work. If that's the case, then your home is just built surrounding yourself, which is perfectly fine. I'm all for people that truly just want to build a home surrounding themselves. People that don't necessarily want marriage, don't necessarily want commitment, because they have found their own solace within their own self. That's perfectly fine. But for those of you that truly are wanting and looking for a relationship, one of the best things that you need to find is home, right? Home should not be, you're going to argue, everybody's not always going to agree, and that's perfectly fine. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I should still find peace. I should still find joy. I should still find a level of humility. I should still find kindness. I should still find meekness. I should still find mild. Like, I should still be able to find all those things at home, because I should not have to go outside of the home to find those things, right? Because I should not have to go out at night. I should not have to escape during the day. These are the things that I shouldn't have to do, because these are the things that can introduce a certain level of struggle that I will bring back to where the home, right? And I believe that as a people, they're going to understand that after reading this good book, on what happens when you actually find yourself, the me part, and then you're able to reintroduce the home part, because you have found a partner in which you can actually connect with, right? And that you can actually build with, and that you can actually even go further with. And like I said, for those of you that truly believe you can do all of that by yourself, more power to you. And we wish you all the best. But there are those of us that are truly looking to find that one partner, so that then we can open up and create the next chapter. So I thank y'all for allowing us in, right? Because y'all have allowed us into y'all. That's why I wanted to end it with both of y'all coming together, because truth be told, that's how the book ended, right? With everybody coming together, and with the culmination and the formation of the relationship. And I think that for those of us that have truly gone through anything, have gone through any level of a struggle, have gone through struggles within our own lives, have gone through struggles within our own careers, have gone through struggles within our mind, how we think, all the other extra stuff. I think that it's important that they begin to find that if you want a relationship, right, you can find a person that can match you. And that person will also be able to team up with you and carry you through. even your struggle, right? Because when you first met him, it wasn't like he was like, oh, this wonderful freaking package. And you know what? Boom. Yeah, we about to do this. No, I had to go through some shit.
Word. Yes.
That made me want to holler, throw up my hands, be like, you know what? Here we go. You know what I'm saying? But we learned how to communicate, right? We learned how to understand each other's language because everybody has a different language. Like how he said, I like how he said that you communicate with your food. You murder it and you speak loudly, right? So therefore, if I gotta bang a couple of these pots together, but I am the same way as well. I will cook a meal, right? That's going like I might be upset right now, but I'm gonna make sure you eat.
Yeah,
and it'll be good.
And that can be a struggle too. Sometimes because you can be upset and you got to put that emotion aside. So,
but it helps you to form, right? So that it takes your mind off. See, because when I was younger, like when I was a kid and I was mad, my parents would make me cook. They would get some of the nastiest food they ever had, just so that they would know, don't ever ask her to cook again because I'm upset, right?
Right.
But then when you mature as a good adult that you are, and you realize that you're just not gonna give your bed no nasty food because that's just disrespectful and wrong and on all types of levels. So therefore, you still gonna cook and put your whole good effort forward because there's still love there, and there's still appreciation there, there's still admiration there, there's still there's all of that stuff there. So I'm gonna do all of this stuff because, but I'm still upset. That's okay.
Right. Right. Don't talk to me. I'm mad. Right. So
okay, remember, because here comes Jadoni. So remember when you came up to the gallery when we was doing the step class, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Jadoni said you should need to have a relaunch party at the gallery for your book because he would love to host it. He says dope.
I'll tell him I will be honored. Tell him I'll be honored.
He listed it right now. So boom.
Hey, listen, peace, King. Number one, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the love. We'll definitely exchange information in any way we connect, any way I can be an asset to you as you're now being an asset to me. I'm only one phone call away. So thank you for the opportunity, and I look forward to building with you in the near future.
And Ty, you can cook, and I'm so excited.
Listen,
Jadoni, he tell all the time. He's like, you just work out so you can eat. Exactly.
Listen, that's the way you got to do it. Burn it off, put it on. Listen, thank you, for having me. Thank you for reading and pulling from the book, using the book for dialogue, using the book to open up discussion. That's a dream. That's ultimately the goal. Before you get into the fancy stuff and the pictures and the cover and the rollouts and even the party, you just want to write something with purpose and meaning. You just want to be able to have conversation because it's important. Before I went through some of the things that I went through, I knew there was a world out there and there was a lot of pain going on in that world. And once I got into that world, I understood how important relatable conversation is. So, just to be on your platform, to connect with you, to connect with everybody who loves you and who adores you is an honor. I salute all of y'all out there. Definitely keep your eyes open for Raw Thoughts, LLC. Keep your eyes open for Culinary Gods, LLC. Keep your eyes open for, what we got going on. Keep your eyes open for the Muzzle Is Off Podcast. It's some beautiful things happening. And I have faith in your host. I believe this woman that has a voice, has something to contribute, and y'all can learn and grow from one another.
So how can people purchase the book?
Absolutely. Right now, I'm still working out the kinks with Amazon. My book will be on there. My other releases is on there. Currently is not, but I will say in the very near future, it will be on Amazon. You can also find it on rawthoughts.com, and that's Raw Thoughts with a Z.com. That's my website, official website. You can inbox me, Facebook, Keith Nweze. Right there, we'll go back and forth. I'll get it right to you. You can find me on Instagram at @IAM_King616. I also have a YouTube page that we're actually putting the finished touches on, but it will be up very, very soon, and that's Raw Thoughts LLC. So, you know, I'm on social media platforms. You can definitely inbox me. You will be able to get it on Amazon soon. They're going through their little nonsense over there, but you know, it will be on there soon. So you know, those are the platforms you can find all of my books.
So all of the books are definitely on Amazon and rawthoughts.com.
This is it. My camera game is crazy. But you see, listen, this self-publishing, and we don't just do any old thing over here. You're looking at hardbound copies. You're looking at fully color imagery. You know, you're looking at somebody who, you know, puts their money where their mouth is. Somebody who's bringing something to the game.
Definitely.
All of my covers, you know, all of my titles, they're definitely about something. So, you know, anytime, you know, you want to speak the truth, you want some raw thoughts, come check me out. I know that was a shameless plug, but we had to do it, right?
Listen, this is what we do. And Jadoti over here in these comments, he's like, all right, relaunch party for the book with them culinary goodies.
Yo, listen, love and respect.
And business cards in the back. He said, I'm just saying, let's get it. So definitely.
All the time, my brother.
If you go into the comments, you'll definitely see Jadoni. I'll even connect both of y'all so y'all could talk. I'm excited about this food. I am a foodie. My friend.
What's your favorite food?
Food that's good.
Well, listen, Culinary Gods, listen. She does all of that. The flavor is beautiful. She's extremely creative. Anything that your wildest imagination can think of, she can bring to life. She can put that little flavor to it.
Come on, flavor.
Yeah. So, you know.
Look, I tried something new today. I made I added some bourbon to my barbecue sauce. I was excited about that. Girl, listen, I be trying some stuff.
Well, listen. She does Guinness wings, Hennessy.
That's what I'm talking about.
She does anything infused. She can do is just multi-talented. You know, and y'all are gonna taste her food because she will be catering this book release, this relaunch that we're speaking on right now. So anybody who's hungry and who wants to taste something for their events, come on through, and you'll be able to experience it.
Definitely. Let me say this. So, like I said, because I'm a foodie, when I do another launch, prayerfully, when COVID want to act right, girl, I got you. Because I can't wait. I am the foodie of the foodies. Y'all will see. Y'all listen. If you really follow me, you will see. I will post up pictures and everything of all the food, just because. And I will try. I am. You know, they say bands that make a dance. I travel for food. Okay.
Hey, listen, y'all two should sit down. Maybe one of these days.
That'll be good.
We go back.
We definitely can.
Okay, I'm down. I'm available.
We definitely can. Listen,
you got those questions. I appreciate that though. You definitely took the time and went through that book.
Yes, let me tell you
that book.
Like I said, I couldn't put it down. I read it, and as a woman, as I was reading it, you know, my mind was like, "All right." So then when I got to the end, I was like, yes, okay, come on. Yes. I was like, there she, yes. You know what I'm saying? So I was just like excited, you know, because I am a hopeless romantic, just because that's just me. He over here talking about pay me for the venue and food. I can't take Jadoti. Is it? You know what? He said so. It's $0 for the space. He loved that. That's.
Listen, we respect you. You know.
I wish you could have met him that night when you came up there to drop. But he had just finished the training session, and we was over there. I don't know what me and Leah was doing. We were just sitting there talking or whatever. So, but yeah, this is gonna be great. I can't wait. I'm excited. So I'm just excited, and
I don't know what God's plans is for me, but I plan on waking up tomorrow. So I look forward to meeting him either tomorrow or the next day that follows. So Let him know that is love and respect always.
Y'all definitely gonna be me and sis. We gonna be because I'm a foodie and she a cook, and I love it already. And now, but we actually gonna build on some other things as well because this is just what I do. And then actually, since we're gonna have you back on the podcast, because I'm just all up into the arts and the creatives, and people do not understand that culinary is art. And it truly does speak to the soul of a person, especially if you have a love and respect for food like I do, you know. And so I think that it'll be important for people to know who you are. And I also think that it would be important for you to begin your great cookbook for the people, because some of us need help.
Please don't get him started. You see how he did. You see how he does.
This woman done watched me self-publish 2 books. She's a teacher. She's already in the education system. Ask yourselves when y'all tune off this podcast, how many times did I tell her that I'll self-publish her cookbook?
She gonna publish it.
Right.
I just want, because listen, she has that ability and she don't understand the reach that she'll have when people can take those recipes home with them.
It's not that though. That's not what it is.
What is
That's all right. We're gonna talk about it offline what it is, but you're definitely going to put out your cookbook. That is an absolute definite. You're also going to help a lot of people with their weight loss. So that is an absolute definite. So we just go, you know, say we're gonna build upon you and what you about to do for these good people out here. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, like you said, you was out there in Vegas, you came back home, and now it's building.
Yeah.
And this is what we here to do. We here to build, and we're gonna build. And like I said, I'm very much so into the arts. I believe arts are extremely important, and for the time that we are in now, there's a lot more time that is being focused on the creatives. And cooking is a creative art. It's not just about design. It's not just about, you know what I'm saying, authorship and also the extra stuff. Cooking literally is a creative art. The pictures and what goes into it, the heart, you know what I'm saying, the thought, all of that stuff, all of that is important, you know, because I could burn something in a minute and then have to throw it out and restart, you know what I'm saying? I ain't even gonna hold you. Them wings today, I was like, let me try these first before I tell anybody about. Let me taste this first, make sure this is right, okay? And then if it's right, all right, I can do something with this. But if it ain't right now, this about to get tossed. I can't. So I just think that it's important for people to really begin to understand the art of cooking, especially for us. You know, for us to understand what we are really putting in our bodies. There's so many things that are plaguing us today, and a lot of it has a lot to do with what we're actually putting in our bodies and what we're putting in our minds, right? So he hits us off with the mind, you hit us off with the body, and boom.
Because consumption, right? Consumption.
That's it. So this is what we're gonna do. So I really want to thank both of y'all. Because you got your finger up. What you want to say?
Oh, yeah, I don't know what I was trying to do. I was doing like 2-on-1. I'm all messed up in the camera.
But I want to thank, and what y'all don't know is I kind of put Ty on the spot. I asked her like as soon as we joined, like 5 minutes before going live. So sis, you want to join in with us because I think this is imperative, and boom, and she did it, and I thank you for that. Thank you, sis, and thank you, King. Thank you, Queen. Thank you for your union. Thank you for what you are giving out to us as a whole. I really appreciate what y'all are. I appreciate what you represent. And Keith, I definitely appreciate. I've only read this one book, but I can only imagine what's in the other books, right? Because of the attention to detail that you put into this one book. So thank you for that. Thank you for the choice of the poetry. Thank you for the choice of the words. Thank you for just everything that this book really and truly encompasses, because it truly hits at the heart of the struggle. And a lot of times we do not like to admit our faults. We don't like to admit our mistakes. And throughout this entire book, you have taken us on a personal journey of admittance, correction, restoration, and now we get to see it all play out. And that's the journey that a lot of us have been on. And I appreciate you for allowing us to see it as a strong Black male figure, because that's what we lack. We lack the ability to see it. We hear about it, but we can't actually see it. We can't visualize what this looks like for the average person. I ain't talking about no rapper. I'm not talking about no, basketball player, baseball player, football player, none of that. What does this look like for the average person? And you take us in that. So I thank you for taking us in that so that people can understand, and you too can make it out of whatever your struggle is. You can make it out of it. But then we continue on. And it's not always in the same time, because people always think struggle is negative. Sometimes, listen, we what we struggling to do is keep making money.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We struggling to find new ways, and to reinvent. We struggling to find new ways to reincorporate. This is what we're doing. So thank you for showing us that. I really do appreciate that in this book. I really do. Thank you.
Listen, thank you for having me. Thank you for the engaging dialogue. Thank you for being you. Thank you for whoever taught you how to read and comprehend. It all enhanced today's moment. I look forward to building with you. Just to let you and your audience know that I'm working on and planning, knock on wood, to release three books this June. So God willing, if I meet my goals and my expectation, me and you will be sitting down. Not only me and you, but I'm self-publishing 2 other people. So maybe we, all 4 of us can get down and
Definitely.
put some ideas together. But it was a great moment just kicking it with you. Very humbled at your insight, and you really give me inspiration and motivation to keep doing what I do. So from the bottom of my heart, I thank you.
Thank you. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in. For those that will watch after the fact, we are on Apple Podcasts, we are on Spotify, we are on Google, and we are definitely on iHeartRadio. So for everybody that will be listening, if you have any questions, I just really want you to feel free to reach out. Reach out via Facebook, reach out even via Instagram, reach out and ask questions, because I think that it is important that we begin to create a dialogue that never stops. And that's what I want. I want us to continue to create this dialogue that never stops. And that is part of the reason why I said, we're going to really focus on the arts, and we're going to focus on the people this month. Like this is what we're going to do. And I think that it is imperative that we focus on the people and that we reach the hearts of people. We got so much going on in this world. And right now we got to hit the hearts of everybody. And let's have open dialogue. So if you got any questions, any concerns, whatever the case may be, I want everybody to go to www.rawthoughts.com. Y'all see it. It's on that banner. Write it down. Take it down. Purchase the book. Purchase Keith books, because they will literally take you on a journey and it's a relatable journey that you would have never thought that a book could actually take you on. And when I tell y'all I couldn't put it down, I literally do mean that. Like I was literally just sitting here turning pages, like, oh my God, wow, waiting to get to the next. So purchase the book, purchase the struggle, understand the struggle, and understand that there's always a way out. And with that, I want to tell y'all good night. Everybody be at peace, literally, in your mind, in your body, in your soul, in your spirit. Just be at peace, okay? Be at oneness with self, be at consciousness with self, and awaken to your own self. That's what I want to say. I want to tell people to awaken to your own self, because once you actually do that, you begin to find peace in everything that is surrounding you. So awaken to self and find peace. Have a good night, everybody. Peace out.